Hi, everybody. This is Suri and Sunk, and we are back again with Cremchus's episode of the week. Today, we're going to talk about a singular movie that has, in many ways, kind of defined every other movie we watched because of the kind of story it has. It is it is about an Indian wedding. It is directed by the great Meera Nair, and if you're not familiar with her older work, because this movie is a much older work, you've probably heard of The Namesake, and she directed that masterpiece as well. This movie is extremely important because it came at a time when this kind of narration was very rare. It was based on real life characters. It was not about a hero and heroine running around trees in the forest and falling in love. It was about real, amazing cultural, contextual things, which I don't think has happened a lot since this movie. And if anybody's guessed it up till now, it's Monsoon Wedding, and it is a very important film to us. We care deeply about it because one, it represents the whole chaos that comes with most Indian weddings. Two, it is the most accurate representation of it because I think there's a lot of cinema which shows, these beautiful choreographed dances and these colorful setup, decorated, entire lawns and lawns of flowers and lights. And while it is all those things, there are these very real families that are budgeting those things and literally driving themselves to death trying to make that happen. And this movie is somewhat about that. And it's also about the hidden stories and hidden secrets of families that try to put up a very celebratory stance when it comes to weddings. But that's when most of this, twisted, crazy shit comes out. And that's why this movie is the movie of the week. And we are very excited to start, kind of just losing our shit over it. So tell me, Sank, you have watched Monsoon Wedding, I think, as many times as I have. Like we've like watched and rewatched. We probably know the dialogues by heart. Why is this movie such an important part of Indian cinema?
Yeah, I think I discovered this movie, I think much later than you. I think you only recommended the movie to me. Uh, but this movie is really close to my heart. I and I know we say this about a lot of movies that we recommend, but this really is because so what makes this movie so special to me is how it makes me go through the same kind of emotions every time I watch it. It's that it's that special to me. Like everything about this movie, I think one of the biggest strengths of the movie is that Meera Nair, it was not economical with the way she gave details to the character. Like you can invest the same to the major characters like Shefali Shah and Nasruddin Shah, and do the same for the smaller ones like Randeep Huda's story or Nasruddin Shah's son story. Like every single thing about this movie is so amazing, so special, and I think that's the reason why it's right here, and I'm pointing to my heart right now. It's like the drama emotional version of how you see comedy movies like Anchorman and Three Idiots, and every time you watch it, you know the joke's coming, you know what the joke is going to be, but you laugh the hardest every time, right? It's the same that happens to me when I watch Monsoon Wedding. It's my favorite Meera Nair movie. It's probably, I think I'm just gonna say it, it's my favorite family drama ever made.
Uh-huh.
And
Big statement.
yes. So we are gonna do a Wes Anderson filmography in the future. And I'm going to talk about my favorite movie, which is Royal Tenenbaums, which came out, by the way, which came out the same year as Monsoon Wedding. Uh,
Oh, I didn't know that
yes,
little factor.
yes.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, when it comes to family ensembles, I think nobody does it better than Monsoon Wedding. I think every single thing about it. Like, obviously, we're going to explore the characters more and more as we go. But yeah, every single thing about it is
Yeah.
just chef's kiss.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, this is a very serious statement to make when it comes to family dramas because we are recording this in a time where Modern Family exists and Succession exists. And these very hardcore family dynamic storylines exist, which goes beyond, keeping everything happy and smiley and perfect and everybody bonds and oh, and bad sisters exist. So we are officially in an age where family dramas have gone beyond trying to prove that family is always there for each other. It's about every family member, how they impact each other, how it's sometimes toxic, how it's sometimes twisted, and it still continues, on the set path because it's family. And for me, the central character in this movie is Lalit Verma, Nasiruddin Shah's character. Although there is an argument that the central character is Shefali Shah's character, who plays his niece, and the setup of the movie is first of all, it's extremely adorable. Like it opens with Nasiruddin Shah or Lalit Verma basically standing below this beautiful little gate of flowers, of marigolds, and marigolds play a very important theme in the movie. So if you are watching it and you're seeing these beautiful golden bursts of flowers everywhere, those are marigolds, and it basically kind of defines the theme of Indian weddings. If there's an Indian wedding, there is definitely that flower is going to show up. Even today, it's going to show up. And he's standing below that archway. He's mad about this very amazing character played by Vijay Raj. His name is PK Dube. And uh, anyone who understands Hindi knows that there is a fantastic pun in that because Dube means to drown and PK means to drink. It's like literally saying that he drowned drinking. But Dube ji is like the wedding planner and he's setting up the entire aesthetics of the wedding in the lawn of Lalit Verma's house. And of course, there is like the typical dramas which get introduced to us immediately. Like we don't see the completely set up wedding venue. We see what is happening, post it, like what's happening before everything is set up. And the movie is special because it immediately introduces us to the concept of like being in a wedding household, which you will not see happen in a lot of movies where you're seeing the setup, you're seeing the prep, you're seeing the father losing his mind because he's spending money and he's not getting results, and then there's a wife that is trying to calm him down. And it's and that character, Lalit Verma's wife's character is played by Lalit Dubey, and her name is Pimmi Verma. Pimi's character is fascinating because she just exists as this wifeful wife character who's just there and trying to calm her husband down, but is not succeeding for the most part. Is probably even taking a lot of his abuse for like no good reason. Um, but is trying to make the best of it because her daughter's getting married, and and you see in the setup that Ria Verma is their niece and she lives with them, but they're not her parents, but they treat her like, their own kid. And she's preparing for her cousin's wedding and she's really excited. But we get to find out that Aditi, who plays the girl who's getting married in all of this, is not um, really into getting married. As I say this, Sank is smiling because he knows exactly why. Are we gonna spoil things now? Let's get into that because
Uh,
we have to.
let's not. I think like the fact that we can talk about Ria's storyline, right? Like not
Yes,
what happens in the end,
yes,
but I think what she's going through we can discuss because that is something that happens in the first half an hour.
yeah, yeah. So Ria, um played by a very important actress of Indian cinema. Her name is Shefali Shah. If you've not watched her, check out Dil Dharakne Do. Check out what was that other movie which she played? This recent film with Alia Bhatt,
Darlings.
Darlings,
Oh,
uh, and
she was amazing in Darling.
fabulous in that. And for the most part, one second. as I'm recording this, my mother interrupted me to correct certain factoids about Chef Alisha. But Chef Alisha, I mean, she's very important to Indian cinema because she, first of all, she's heavily underrated. If you've not got her work, by all means, just look up Chef Alisha's filmography. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
And
She's
she,
one of the she's one of the most underrated actresses that we have right now.
Mhm,
Working right now. Okay, she's been around for a while. I think she started TV in 19 in the 90s or something,
yes.
and she's done a wide range of movies, and I believe that she still hasn't gotten due credit. So yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. I don't think she'll ever get her due credit. She's very important to what we call like, like character acting and getting completely submerged. You'll never see her play anything different, like anything the same. Sorry. Like she's
Speaking of
completely, sorry, go ahead.
speaking of character acting, uh, she did a movie called Wak in 2006 or 7, where she played mommy to Akshay Kumar. Okay,
Oh,
who
God.
was who was maybe like 1 or 2 years younger to her, something.
Yeah. Because God forbid a woman in her 30s act and be a leading lady, right? Like that's the
Yes.
that's the issue with I guess all cinema. I don't think this is just a problem with Indian cinema.
Yeah,
But
we're
but
digressing now. But
but
we had.
we have to because she plays her age in in this movie, which is like excruciatingly important because one, um she is like this very edgy, very sexy cousin. Like if you look at her, she has like this, sexy nose ring, and she has like smudged eye makeup, and she's very mysterious and has a very straightforward way of like talking about things. And there's a call out that happens in the beginning of the movie where she's talking to her cousin, or to the bride to be, and she's trying to basically tell her that she needs to have an opinion of her own, and she can't just marry a guy that she's known for a couple of weeks just because the parents have okayed him. And this is us, like, I guess, immediately finding out that this is an arranged marriage setup. If you don't know what that is basically your parents kind of finding a suitable match for you, and then maybe you court them, maybe you don't. But in this case, I guess they've courted for a couple of weeks, and it turns out they like each other, and which is why they're getting married. And this setup of, I guess, Indian weddings, we have to understand that when people agree to marry each other, the engagement ritual and the wedding rituals kind of happen in the same timeline. So probably in the same month, in the same couple of weeks. And this is kind of introducing us into the world of monsoon wedding, because now we know why is this entire thing happening in such a hurry, and why is everybody like stressed out. And it's because it's an arranged marriage and it has to happen a particular way, and you
Yeah.
have to follow certain rituals for that.
The engagement and the marriage has to happen at this, like, almost at the same time, because
Mhm.
God forbid if you spend more time with each other.
Yeah. And find out you don't want to and you want to back up,
Yeah.
which I think is the great irony of monsoon wedding, because a lot of stuff comes out in the open.
Yep.
And I think the whole purpose of the movie is about the revelation of things that should have gone unsaid or would have gone unsaid had the wedding not happened. um and I will be eternally grateful to this movie for fast paced yet comfort storytelling. Like, you will, it's a very odd combination. You find out a lot of details very quickly. There are a lot of different characters. It doesn't just surround around the bride or the bride's cousin. There's this other character that's played by Randeep Huda, who looks mwah, 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 mwah in this movie.
Really?
He's, oh yeah, I think he looks adorable in this.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
that boxers.
Uh, Look, you have to forgive people for poor choices when they're young. but, but he looks really cute, and he plays like this nephew of Nasruddin Shah, who's just like getting like, you know kind of yelled at throughout the time because he's there to like help out with the wedding. And he has like this crush on this other family friend who plays like this very, sexy, curious little, kind of like a kitten kind of a character, where she's very playful, but she's also like kind of holding her cards very close to her
The
chest. And
manic, uh,
yeah,
the manic pixie dream.
yes, the original manic pixie dream girl. And there's Nasruddin Shah's son, who is introduced to us, where he's like sitting and watching a cooking show, which is extremely unlikely especially in an Indian family in that point of time. Like they're even showing us that he is not supposed to be watching it, but he's watching it anyway. And he's a boy and he has those interests. And um, he even helps out with the choreography. Like he has interests that Indian families will like frown upon if a guy takes interest in those things. And but his mom is very supportive about it, but his father isn't. And so much detail, so much information coming at
Talking
you.
about They're talking about masculinity in 2001. Like an Indian movie doing that was a first of its kind, right?
Yep, way ahead of its time. And also like families having a problem with that. Like it's very
Yeah.
easy to talk about like define masculinity or define toxic masculinity, but then to bring in cultural context and then show that there's a father who has an issue with that, and then there's a mother who's trying to like balance out his anger against that. And honestly, like this is why I love Lilith Dubey's like Pimi's character. She is trying to hold the fort down and is drowning in the process of that. Like like she's like trying to
Yeah.
be supportive, but that is going against her. And
Mhm.
growing up, I always saw like my mom balancing me and my dad's constant bickering out at the cost of her own peace. And to see that translated in a real way, right? Like not in a way where it's like, oh, I'm the mother, you should listen to me, or I'm the wife of whatever, and I'm going to be the woman of the house, or that's not how they're narrating it, because most of the time that's not how you can talk about women or Indian women from Indian families when they are trying to make things work without angering anybody or hurting their little ones in the process. And that is Lilith Dubey's character. She is like out and out one of the most well written mom characters I have seen in Indian cinema, which and in a very realistic manner too.
Yeah. I think the marriage between her and Nasruddin Shah was depicted very realistically, in the sense that you can immediately know that they've had years that they have invested in this marriage, and it comes out beautifully in that scene where uh, I don't want to spoil, but there's a scene where there's a sort of intimate scene between them where Nasruddin Shah breaks down, and it's it's just a scene where you don't need any dialogue, and they're just embracing each other. They're just you can immediately know that they're
Mhm.
there for each other, and that was really beautiful.
Very very soft moment between, look, this is how they show us their bedroom, right? Where they
Yeah.
show us these single beds that are separated from each other. There's distance between them. The wife sleeps on one, the husband sleeps on the other. And then on the night Nasruddin Shah has that breakdown, like Sang said, like not only do they embrace, but there is this moment where he says, Mujhe sambhal le pami, and which literally means like, please take care of me. Like I need to be taken care of, which is, I think it is, I hope I love someone enough or someone loves me enough to be able to say that to me someday, because I think that is greater than saying I love you, greater than saying I need you. Say, can you please take care of me, because I'm completely like falling apart over here. And it's not
Yeah.
over stress of the wedding, and it's about family drama. The family drama breaks him down. Like the financial hassles of the marriage don't bother him. His wedding contractor being an idiot doesn't bother him. His daughter being very wishy-washy about marrying this boy doesn't bother him. But family drama breaks him down finally, and he reaches out to his wife, who basically pulls him onto her single bed, and then they hold each other and caress each other and fall asleep. And it is, that scene just it'll bring tears to your eyes, but it'll also like make you smile. Like fast-paced storytelling, but to bring you comfort. Fast-paced storytelling is for thrillers. It's not for making you feel feelings. It's for making you feel like, oh, I'm at the edge of my seat, I have to find out what no, this is about feeling cozy, and this is the perfect time to watch it. If you're around the holidays, you want to cozy up with like a warm cup of something, this is the perfect time to watch it.
Yep. Can we move on to my favorite part of the movie, which is Dube and Alice?
Yes, please.
So, as great as the movie is, this movie never reaches like no romance is as great as Dube and Alice's romance. So, as we mentioned, there's this character who's the wedding planner, who's arranging everything around the house and around the wedding, called PK Dube. And there's a love track, there's a romance track. So the couples that we see, there are a lot of couples in the movie, but I think my favorite one is Dube and the housemaid Alice. Uh, so their story starts off like, so there's a scene where they meet for the first time, they see each other for the first time, and he's so smitten by her. I don't know what that meant, but after she leaves, he eats he eats a marigold, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
I didn't know what that meant.
so there is some poetic context to using. I mean, of course, there is a wedding, and it makes complete cultural sense to have marigolds during an Indian wedding. But marigolds are also technically, it's not, when you say marigold flower, it's not one flower. It's a lot of flowers in a bunch. So it's actually a bunch of flowers. Every time you pick one that looks like one flower, it's a bunch of flowers in one. And Alice eats the marigold petals as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think that happens after Dube bites the first one. And there is something about, that kind of being the beginning of something, because marigolds are like supposed to be auspicious. They're used for like pretty much all events, like weddings, funerals. It's supposed to be a way of like bringing in the new, giving freedom to a soul, or bringing in a new family member when a kid is born. Married, so every marigold is symbolic of a beginning. So Dube eating it, I think, is his way of like, like his way of wanting to taste her. I can't explain it, but it feels like he
Yeah.
wanted, like, it's his version of kissing her. If a kiss existed between those two characters, that's what it is. Because in one scene he eats it. Couple of scenes later, you see Alice biting into the petal as well, with a flower tucked into her hair, and it is so cute.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. There's no greater
Like,
romance than Alice and Dubeji.
yeah. You can take away a lot of things from this movie, but this movie should come with a disclaimer that like, marigolds are not edible. Something like that. Oh, they are?
Yeah,
What?
they are edible.
I don't know. Oh, see, one more thing we get to learn from this movie.
They're edible, like. And Alice is she's the person who helps around the house. So there's this very
Yeah.
sweet scene where she's like at some wash basin, and she's cleaning some vessels, and Dubeji like walks in, and he goes, can I have some water? And that exchange where he's trying to get some information from her, but she's very closed up and he's very talkative, is very cute. Like, it's so tender and sweet, right? Like just the exchange of water, right? She doesn't do anything else. She just gives him a glass of water. Like the kindness in that, and it's so adorable. First of
It's
all,
adorable.
Tilotoma show.
Oh, oh,
This is a power cast, my friends. If you have not
yes.
watched Monsoon Wedding,
She needs to be in more movies.
yes, she does. Please check out Sir. If you like Alice in Monsoon Wedding, here's a recommendation within a recommendation. Check out Sir. It's on Netflix. Tilotoma Shom, uh, or Alice, she shines in that movie, and she shines in this movie, and she plays a minor character as well.
Why does
Um,
she only shine when she's playing the housemaid?
I don't know. I know, right? That's her thing. She plays the house. Um, but she is phenomenal, and She's had very minimal dialogue as well. I think Dubey has the most dialogues in the movie.
I think my favorite scene, obviously, is that scene where she's dressing up, like she's
Mhm.
wearing the jewelry and everything, and this they're sort of having a connection, like
Hmm.
before the Dubey's minions come in and they break in. But it's such a beautiful scene where she's admiring herself and Dubey watches her do that. I think that was very, that was a very sweet moment.
Mhm.
And I think that does it for him,
Mhm.
because later that day he goes home where he lives with a mother with his mother,
Yeah.
and he changes clothes and he just goes to his roof and just watches the sunset down.
And
I
his
think that
mother
gives us,
tags him because her friend's
yeah,
kid has grandchildren. She
yeah.
doesn't. That's upsetting.
And you get to know immediately that he's a man who hasn't had anyone in his life before. Uh, he has a very monotonous life where it's just his house and his work. And this is someone that he's found a new purpose in life. He's found probably the love of his life. I
Yeah.
think that was beautiful.
The, the, I think there are these key realization moments for a lot of characters, even for the bride, when Alice like finds out that the boy's family is here, or the groom's family is here. She goes, Didi, ladke wale aa gaye, which basically means like, like the groom's here, the groom's family is here, and she's real happy. But the bride isn't. And you see like these key moments which have nothing to do with the story, but they exist. And they exist to give us some insight into the family. Like we see the bride and her cousin Ria, they are like fast asleep, and Nasruddin Shah kind of walks in there with Pami, his wife, and he looks at them, and he almost like weeps a bit because he's about to give his daughter away, and he says, when I look at them, I feel so much love for them. It's like a love I cannot bear. And this is not relevant to the story to watch, like, like, but I know there are a lot of moments in my life where my dad would like, kind of like pat my head if I'm asleep. And I don't know why that was important to him to do that, because there's no way I would have known unless like I was half asleep. But those little moments about like fathers and daughters, um about brothers, about in-laws, it's all there, and it's there to make you feel not necessarily nostalgic, but definitely make you grateful for the ones who love you in your life right now, as you are. And I think that's the point of monsoon wedding. Like it showers you with that love, it showers you with that attention, even though you are just an audience. It makes you think that you are attending that wedding with with the
Yeah.
entire family.
So what I related the most in the movie was, so I grew up in a nuclear family. So when I used to see these family functions and everything, and people just going berserk and laughing out loud at every single thing on every single thing, I would not understand, because like these weren't people that my family or me get to see every day. They probably live in different cities, different countries, but when they're together, they talk as if like they know they talk every day. And this is the time when like we didn't even call each other that much, right? So the fact that Mira and I decided to set up so many stories around a wedding, that was a great decision, I think. It's like sort of, sorry for this, but it's like a very mature version of a Priyadarshan movie
Oh
where
God.
you get to see, you see a movie like Hangama, right? Where they have these different characters who have different storylines and everything, and in the end, uh, the storylines diverge. Like there's this comedic moment where they're all electrocuted together or something like that.
It is
Sorry
definitely.
for this.
It is. I hate that this is your comparison, but I see what you're trying to say.
No,
If
but
you're not familiar with the Priyadarshan movies, we may have to dedicate an entire segment to it. Like we may have to create a separate playlist just for Priyadarshan movies. But yeah,
no, but
I see what.
what a great way to set an ensemble in, right? Like
Oh yeah.
in a wedding, in an Indian wedding. I don't think any other culture has this type of a thing where in a wedding, the focus is not on the main couple, but
Yeah,
on
on
the whole
everyone
family,
else.
on everyone who's involved in it.
Which is ironically what happens in most Indian weddings. It's like the couple is there, but
Yeah.
everybody else becomes like, the center topic of so many things, like the aunt, right, Randeep Huda's mom, or like when she gets upset because she sees Nasiruddin Shah screaming at him about something. It's like, I don't like it when he talks that way to my son, like, and her husband who's like always, kind of like hitting on her or flirting with her, and being like cutesy about it, and then having and them having like these moments, the ladies of the house, where they talk about like when they were young and they had just gotten married, and it's the catch up. It's like the weddings are actually catch up, because you go into day to day, you go into your rigmarole of things, and weddings are when things kind of collapse a bit. You become a little more vulnerable. People are drunk, and people are, I guess, feeling things a bit more during weddings, because it's a big milestone for the family. Like there's a moment between Nasiruddin Shah and Shefali, which is my favorite scene. My favorite, in fact, couple in the movie is this uncle and niece, because something happens and Shefali decides to not attend the wedding for those, and we're not going to spoil why. But Nasiruddin Shah basically goes to console her and says, "But you're my child. If you don't come, then how can this marriage happen?" Said, "You are my child, and tu meri bachchi hai na." Like, and that it breaks you. Like when you see that scene, I guarantee you it's going to make you feel like, like, please, Shafali, just go to the wedding. Like, stop, don't torture this man. And it's adorable how you see like this very like angry man, kind of like softening himself for his child, for his niece.
I think
And yeah,
that's the climax more than
yeah,
like anything else, right? The moment
absolutely.
between like the intimate moment that they share.
Yes,
I think that
100%.
was the climax. It wasn't the big thing that happens or the way they try to solve it. That
Yeah,
was a moment.
yeah, absolutely.
It
Because
was about the family and not about the conflict.
exactly, because you cannot be a person who's close to another person, and give like a greater than life speech about family and values. It's not about this, but you're my child, like, I can't do this without, please come. Like, you can't miss the wedding. We won't let the wedding happen if you don't come. It literally comes down to like blackmailing and emotional manipulation, because that's what family is. And as horrible and toxic as that sounds, that 90% of the time, that's what is happening. It's a bunch of people manipulating you into doing stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah. Shall we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
It's
First of all,
been
thank you for subscribing. There's a bunch of you that's subscribing. There's a bunch of you that's watching our channel and not subscribing. We really thank you guys for spending time on this channel. We really want you to spend more time. So just subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It'll make us so happy. It'll make us, I guess, give us more scope to like reach reach like our goal a bit faster. And like Monsoon Wedding, we want this to have a happy ending. Like, we want the channel to grow a little more. And
yes.
right.
Otherwise, we'll all be PK Dubes.
Otherwise, we'll all what?
Otherwise, we'll all be PK Dubes.
PK Dubey also had a
We'll drink
very
ourselves. No, but like we'll
drowned
drink
us
ourselves to
too.
our sorrows.
But we really appreciate the views. Do let us know what else you want us to listen to. We've got a good recommendation from one of our subscribers. We will be referencing him or her in our next video, and do look out for us. We are releasing one video every week. Please like, please share, please subscribe. It makes our life so much easier and so much happier. It doesn't cost you a thing. We love you, and we'll miss you till we see you again. Bye.
Bye.